Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Nudirayat Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nashnaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Upakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Vena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedant Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatadi Shatanine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gautase Namah Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We welcome everyone for today's morning Srimad Bhagavatam program titled as Bhagavat Life, wherein we are discussing from second canto, and today's subject matter is 8th chapter of second canto. A very, very beautiful section. In fact, indeed, if I can call it, I would call it one of the very important chapters of second canto. Primarily, the first few verses. There are in total 29 verses in this chapter. And what is happening in this chapter is Parishit Maharaj, after Brahma Narada Samvad has been concluded in the previous chapter. Now, the previous chapter or the discussion was concluded with, just one second. The previous chapter or discussion was concluded with Brahmaji, or Sukdev Goswami was telling that how Brahmaji instructed Narad Muni to go and preach, to share what he has heard from Brahmaji. So this chapter begins with an inquiry from Parishit Maharaj about how did and to whom did Narad Muni preached or share the message what he had heard from Brahmaji. And here, while asking that inquiry, Parishit Maharaj makes some very, very important statements, which will be the first 6 verses of this chapter. This is what is the most important section of this chapter. And what follows after that are a series of inquiries which are made by Parishit Maharaj to Sukdev Goswami. And these inquiries forms the basis of rest of Srimad Bhagavatam. Whatever we have after this is nothing but the permutation and combination of these inquiries. There are more than approximately 20 plus questions about all possible subject matters. So very interesting chapter. Let's take a look at it. If in case we have any volunteer, if who can share the screen, good. If not, if you have a copy of Bhagavatam, fantastic. If nothing else, then hear attentively. Rajavacha Brahmana Chodito Brahman Gunakhyane Gunasya Cha Yasmai Yatha Praha Narado Devadashanaha. Rajavacha, which means Parashit Maharaj spoke. Brahmana Chodito Brahman. So, Brahmana, which means Brahmaji, Chodito, instructed. Brahman refers to Sukdev Goswami. Hey, Sukdev Goswami. Brahmaji instructed to Narad Muni about what? Guna akhyane agunasya cha. Agunasya. This is a very important word you want to highlight for yourself. Aguna means without any qualities. Guna means quality. Aguna means without qualities. This is how the Mayavadis interpret, but that is not the correct meaning. Guna means three modes of material nature. Aguna means who is beyond the three modes of material nature. And they fail to understand the simple aspect. So agunasya means who is not that. So they say guna means qualities. Aguna means is impersonal. It does not have any quality, it does not have form. But guna means, Bhagavad Gita, so many times guna word has been used. So aguna, gunakhyana gunasya cha. Brahma spoke to Narad Muni about the unlimited qualities of the Lord. Yasmai yatha praha. Yasmai, how, to and to whom. Yatha praha, Narada spoke. Narado deva darshana. Yatha praha Narado. Narad Muni spoke to whom and how. Deva darshana, whose darshan. Deva darshana means just by his darshan, one can be purified. Of Narad Muni, he doesn't even have to speak in that way it has been said. Translation. We would need another mic, or I would need a volunteer to read along. I'll give you some certain portion to read. All right, translation. King Parishad inquired from Sukdev Goswami, how did Narad Muni, whose hearers are as fortunate as those instructed by Lord Brahma, explain the transcendental qualities of the Lord? Who is without material qualities and before whom did he speak? Very beautiful purport. Krishna Chandrapur, your hand is up. Please go ahead and start reading the purport.
Am I audible, Prabhu?
Yeah, audible. I hope those who are online, they can hear that.
Devasi Narada was directly instructed by Brahmaji, who was directly instructed by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the instructions imparted by Narada to his various disciples are as good as those of the Supreme Lord. That is the way of understanding Vedic knowledge. It comes down from the Lord by the disciplic succession, and this transcendental knowledge is distributed to the world by this descending process. There is no chance, however, to receive the Vedic knowledge from the mental speculators. Therefore, wherever Narada Muni goes, he represents himself as authorized by the Lord, and his appearance is as good as that of the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the disciplic succession, which strictly follows the transcendental instruction, is the bona fide chain of disciplic succession. And the test for such bona fide spiritual masters is that there should be no difference between the instruction of the Lord originally imparted to his devotee and that which is imparted by the authority in the line of disciplic succession. However, Narada Muni distributed the transcendental knowledge of the Lord will be explained in later cantos.
Yes. And in the next paragraph is about Guna Agunasya, which we have discussed. Let's take a look at text number 2. So this is how Parishad Maharaj inquired. Now let's see text 2. Etad veditum ichhami tattvam tattvavidam vara harer adbhuta viryasya kathaloka sumangalaha. Etad veditum ichhami. Ichhami means ichha, desire. I desire veditum, to understand. What do I desire to understand? Tattvam tattvidam vara. I want to understand or hear more about the absolute truth. Harer adbhut virasya. Adbhut viryasya. His activities are adbhut, mysterious, incredible, astonishing. Katha Loka Sumangala. And hearing about him is Loka Sumangala, is all beneficial for everyone. Translation. The king said, I wish to know narrations concerning the Lord who possesses wonderful potencies, are clearly auspicious for living beings in all planets. So, very beautiful, small puppet, but very beautiful puppet. All right, somebody would like to read. I would request those who need to read, they have to switch on their cameras. Only will have that opportunity because we need to see if we are
Hare Krishna,
properly
Prabhu.
situated or not. Yes, Rakesh, Prabhu, read out now.
Srimad Bhagavatam, which is full of narrations of the activities of the Supreme Lord, is auspicious for all living beings residing in every planet. One who takes it as belonging to a particular sect is certainly mistaken. Srimad Bhagavatam is certainly a very dear scripture for all the devotees of the Lord, but it is auspicious even for the non-devotees.
Srimad Bhagavatam is
And
very dear scripture for all the devotees. Prabhupada is quoting from 12th Canto, 13th chapter, verse number 18. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam Yasman Paramahamsyam Ekam Amalam Jnanam Paramagiyate Tatra Jnana Viraga Bhakti Sahitam Neshkarmam Avashkritam Tashanam Supathan Vichana Paro Bhaktya Vimuche Naraha. That's a verse you can mark for yourself. I'm just giving this was important verse if I quoted, but if you study carefully, then every line of Srila Prabhupada is one statement or other statement from Srimad Bhagavatam Bhagavad Gita. Please continue.
sorry, Prabhu. Yeah, non-devotees. Also because it explains that even the non-devotees hovering under the spell of material energy can be delivered from such clutches if they hear the narration of Srimad Bhagavatam with devotion and attention from the right source representing the Lord.
That's the most important. How Srimad Bhagavatam would function or act on a non-devotee if only he hears with devotion and attention. And that too, so there's a interdependent relationship between a preceptor and a receiver. Preceptor has to be a bona fide and student has to be attentive and serious. And look where, in what context, in what setup Srimad Bhagavatam has been narrated. We have a preceptor as Sukdev Goswami, who could be more pure or more transcendental than Sukdev Goswami, and who could be more attentive than Parikshit Maharaj, isn't it? He was on the last 7 days. I mean, fantastic setups of our discussion. I mean, just if you look at the context and the setups where all this discussion, I mean, that itself is a subject matter of reflection, discussion. Bhagavad Gita was spoken in another very interesting setup. The preceptor is Krishna himself, and the student is Arjuna himself. And who could be more attentive than Arjuna, because he was in such a serious situation. So this brings us, I'll just make one point on this. The right and meaningful inquiry actually happens in crisis situation. The right and meaningful inquiry actually happens when you are in crisis. Otherwise not. Parikshit Maharaj was in crisis, that led to Srimad Bhagavatam. Arjuna was in crisis, that led to Bhagavad Gita. Because in that situation, you're very attentive. Karta, Marta, kya na karta. As they say in Hindi. Text number 3. Katha yasva mahabhaga yata aham akhilatmani Krishne nivesh nihasangam manastyakshay kalevaram. Katha yasva mahabhaga. O Sukdev Goswami, the most fortunate one. Katha yasva. Please continue your narration. Yata aham akalatmani. I desire, yata aham, I. कोई बैठे ना बैठे पर ये शिष्य जरूर बैठने वाला है. That's the point. Yata aham akilatmani. Akilatmani is Supreme Personality Godhead. Akilatmani Krishna, unto Lord Shri Krishna, nivesh nihasangam. I have placed myself at the lotus feet of the Lord, Nihasangam, being freed from all material attachments. Manastyakshe Kalevaram. So he's expressing his desire that, my dear Sukadeva Goswami, the most fortunate one, please continue the narrations, Lord Shri Krishna. Let my mind be absorbed in hearing Krishna Katha, and like that, let me Tyakshay Kalevaram. Let me give up my body in that situation. So, what is the most auspicious time for us to give up our body? Let me ask this question to all of you. Okay, let me ask a question to online audience. If you are given an opportunity to choose the point of your departure, so what would be your selection? Raise your hands. Raise hands. We like to see what you would like to answer. So consider every day as a normal day, huh? What you have your regular day going on. Now you're given an opportunity. All right, you get a message from Yamraji, not Yamraji, Vishnu Dutas, hopefully. You wake up in the morning, you see a text message, आ रहे हैं हम आपको लेने के लिए. But समय आप चयन करो. We are coming to take you, but you decide the time and situation within 24 hours. So what would be that? Mother Sita Thakurani, your hand was up first. Let's hear from you.
When my mind is fully absorbed in the lotus feet of the Lord.
Oh, Mataji, then Vishnu Dutta say, all right, we'll come next life. Now, when would that happen? Okay, that's a very good thing. Huh? Vishnu Dutta will not come back only.
Or when I am surrounded by the devotees, then.
Okay. When you are surrounded, no, don't make that point. When means again, it's a question mark, na? There's a question mark when. Okay, fine. Yes, Mother Varsha. Unmute, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes,
when
Mother.
I'm serving the Lord, that time.
Which
Lord
time of the day are you serving the Lord?
The whole day, 24 hours by 7.
24 hours. So you can come and take me now. I am ready. That's what you're indicating. Okay.
Ready.
Prabhu, in the morning, in the morning time.
In the morning time. Now you're coming specific. Morning time. Don't come in the afternoon. I take a nap. Don't take me that time, huh? Okay. Okay. Krishna Chandra Prabhu, let's hear from you.
Association of devotee, Prabhu.
Association of devotees.
Surrounding of devotees, yeah. That's
Surrounding of devotees. So what time of the day that happens?
anytime, but devotees must be there.
No, I guess all of you didn't get my question clearly. I said if you get a message early in the morning, आ रहे हैं आपको लेने, but आप बोलो किस समय आए. So from your today's day, what time of the day would you tell you can come this time?
While chanting, Prabhu.
While chanting.
Prabhu.
Now, while chanting, you may or may not be surrounded by devotees. As a congregation, you might be sitting alone. You're changing your proposal now. Vishnu Dutta will be confused.
I just want to be in the association of devotee. I don't care which time.
Okay. All right. Yes, hear from here. Bolo. क्या रे प्रसादम कैसे मैं छोड़ेगा शरीर हाँ all right okay yes quick bolo. That's it. While hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, come on, how can you miss his answer? That's what he's saying, text 3. This is the text 3 all about. I gave you word-to-word meaning also. How did you miss it out? You're giving up stories, this and that. That is the best time to give our life while hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So our standard of Srimad Bhagavatam has become so poor that nobody wants to leave their body that time. Prabhu, we are totally distracted during Srimad Bhagavatam. That is not the good time for, Vishnu Dutas to come. That's the reason nobody thought of it. This is the worst about it, na? Okay, let's use the answer. Oh, greatly fortunate Sukadeva Goswami, please continue narrating Srimad Bhagavatam so that I can place my mind upon the Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna, being completely freed from material qualities, thus relinquish the body. So imagine you have given a time to Vishnu to come at between 8 to 9. Now, baj gaye nahi aaye. So what will you say? My dear sir, please continue. Huh? Don't end your class. This is what he's saying. Parishad Maharaj. My dear Sukadeva Goswami, my time has yet not come. Please continue your narration. Getting it? Oh dear speaker, please do not end your Bhagavatam class. Please continue. And speaker बोलेगा आज तो कभी नहीं बोला. गुरु के देखता था 9 बजे के बाद. कब क्लास खत्म करोगे? आज क्या? नहीं. Please continue. You are the best speaker. Such a wonderful narration. That is exactly what is happening here with our Parishad Maharaj like that. Very, very fantastic purport. Where Prabhupada talks about the importance of hearing, the purpose of hearing, and the importance of hearing from right sources and hearing lifelong, nityam hearing like that. I'll just read down selected points. To be fully engaged in hearing the transcendental narration described in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam means to constantly associate with the Supreme Soul. See, two things happen when you hear Srimad Bhagavatam. You associate with the Lord and you associate with devotees, yes or no? Even if you're hearing by yourself, you're associating with devotees because it's all about devotees and Krishna. So everything, and plus hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is also chanting. And hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is also deity worship. So hearing Bhagavatam, everything happens. Your deity worship happens, your chanting happens, your association of devotees happen. And in the beginning, Nigama Kalpataro Galitam Phalam Shukham Khad Amritam Darvya Samyutam. And it is the most delicious prasadam. Right? That's what in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam said. The most nectarian. So you get to honor prasadam, you get to have deity darshan, deity service. Everything happens during hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So if we are fortunate like Parikshit Maharaj, and we are asked, when would you like to depart? Then while hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. That's the point. And then in the middle of the purport, Prabhu says, Maharaj Parishit was now a realized soul by this secret of liberation, which means by always hearing about Krishna. And through the grace of Sukadeva Goswami, for the later had informed the king that the highest perfection of life is to be in remembrance. A good question, Suryakanti ji, I'll address in a short while. Is to be in remembrance of Narayana at the end of life. So if you look at in this canto only, Sukadeva Goswami has already established the importance of hearing. Many beautiful verses. If you have your Bhagavatam, please go to the first chapter, verse number 5 and 6. Tasma bharat sarvatma bhagwan ishvaro hari shotavya kititavyascha smartavyascha bhayam etavan sankhya yogabhyam swadharma parinishthaya janmalava parapam samante narayana smriti. Like the verse goes on. And then you have 36 and 37 verse from the second chapter of second canto. Again, Sukadeva Goswami spoke about the importance of hearing. Tasma sarvatmana rajan Hari sarvatra sarvadha shotavya kititavyascha smartavyo bhagavananam. And here's a classic verse. I really love this. Krishna Katha, how it purifies the polluted consciousness. Vibantiye bhagavata atmanah satam. Second canto, second chapter, verse number 37. Kathamritam shravanaputeshu samratam. Punanti te vishaya vidushitashayam vrajanti tacharna saroru antikam. What happens with the hearing? Through the process of, Kathamritam Shravanaputeshu, when Krishna Katha enters within our ear holes, it enters into our heart. And then what happens? Vishaya vidushitashayam. Vidusha, Pradushan. The pollution which has been created within our heart because of our attraction to the sense objects, that gets purified. And what happens then? Vrajanti tacharana sarurvantikam. Vrajanti, vraj, chalna. Kaha jana? Vraj bhumi. When you get freed from the polluted aim of life, then you attain the eternal abode of Lord Shri Krishna, Goloka Vrindavan. Like that is mentioned. Beautiful, beautiful. Next paragraph, Prabhupada talks about hearing is all beneficial, but we have to understand from whom to hear. And then Prabhupada talks about the traditional sapta, Bhagavad Sapta. Prabhupada says this is nonsense. The professional man reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, 7-day program, and it's very much a culture. In many places, when somebody passes away, departs from this world, then they would organize Bhagavad Sapta for the satisfaction of pacification of the departed living entity. Our ISKCON devotees are also doing now. That's okay because at least they are speaking Prabhupada purpose. But generally, the idea of this Bhagavad Sapta was actually it had become a business. You'll get a good amount of donation, and that is how a person will run their livelihood. Some people charge 2 lakhs, 4 lakhs for one Bhagavad Sapta. So 1 week in a month you work, and the rest of your ration for the month is done. But they will not practice. That is why Prabhupada was upset. So next paragraph, Prabhupada said, it is a duty of any intelligent person to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from a self-realized soul and not be duped by a professional man. One should continue such hearing till the end of one's life. There are many people on the Asta channel and all the TV. Now, I don't think so anyone watches that because you have YouTube. And every one of these speakers have created their YouTube channel where they would have big pravachan. Recently, somebody sent me a video of somebody speaking about Lord Ram. He had composed a poem which was very beautiful to hear about. And when I saw him, I said, oh, this guy was in a political party. He was a candidate of Aam Aadmi Party. So I immediately sent a message to the fellow and said, hey, wasn't he a politician? He said, no. I said, chal, jhoot bolta hai. He was a politician. He was in Aam Aadmi Party. I may not be part of this world, not paying attention, but even I at least keep an eye on my headlines. I said, I remember this fellow. I don't know for what reason he was kicked out or he left the political party. Imagine somebody belonging to that, I don't want to say anything, but that party, and now you become a saint and do Ram Katha. I would never ever believe. Some background check has to be done now. So that's what kind of thing. Maharaj Parikshit had already given up all his connection with his kingdom and family, most attractive features of materialism, but still he was conscious of his material body. He wanted to be free of such bondage also by the constant association of the Lord. By the constant association of the Lord. Text number 4. Again, hearing. This is all spoken by Parikshit Maharaj. That's the reason Papa says now he's a self-realized soul. Text number 4. Shanvata Shraddhaya Nityam. Shanvatam Sunna. Kaise? With faith and whatever. Nityam, always. Granatascha Swacheshtitam. Granatascha Swacheshtitam. Granata means to accept. Swacheshtitam. With seriousness. Cheshta means endeavor or responsible behavior. Swa means by oneself. Swacheshtitam, which means we should not only hear, but we should also take it seriously. Kalena nati dirghena. Until how long a Bhagavatam class should go? 45 minutes? 50 minutes? Kalena nati dirghena. It should never end. It is not like it should never end. It is mentioned. It should be very long class. Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. And then what happened? When these conditions are met, then Bhagavan Vishate Hridi, he enters the heart of both speaker and the listener. That's the point here. Papa, chief devotees or materialistic devotees of the Lord are very much desire to see the Lord personally, without meeting the prerequisite qualifications. Such third-grade devotees should know well that material attachment, seeing the Lord face to face, cannot go together. It is not such a mechanical process that a professional Bhagavatam reciters can do the job on behalf of the third-grade materialistic pseudo devotee. The professional men are useless in this connection because they are neither self-realized nor interested in the liberation of the audience. They are simply interested in material establishment of family attachment and earning some material benefits out of their profession. Maharaj Parikshit had no more than 7 days, but for others, Maharaj Parikshit personally recommends that one hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly. Maharaj Parikshit only had 7 days, but for everyone he is recommending that we should hear regularly. Nityam. Always by one's own effort and with serious devotion. That is the point here. Last paragraph. The pseudo devotee, however, is very anxious to see the Lord according to his whims, not making any serious effort to hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and without detachment from material benefit. That is not the way recommended by an authority like Maharaj Parikshit, who heard and benefited by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a very, very important point. When I was reading it, suddenly the example of Narada the boy came to my mind. It's amazing, huh? Narada the boy, 5-year-old, his mother passed away, completely detached, walked into the forest as he was instructed by the great personalities or great sages who Narada the boy had served. Mahabhagavas. He went into the forest, and according to the instructions of Mahabhagavas, he began to meditate on the Lord. Within a very short span of time, it's not exactly mentioned how many days or weeks, within a very short span of time, Narada the boy had darshan of the Lord. First he appeared within his, he had a darshan within his heart. He had darshan of the Lord within his heart. I mean, amazing. And then he began to cry because the Lord disappeared. And something very interesting happens then. Because he began to cry. Then the sound manifested. The sound incarnation of the Lord spoke to Narada the boy. My dear boy, I have given you my darshan to encourage you, but you are not yet purified. Continue practicing the principles of devotional life for all your life. And I promise at the end of your life, I will take you back home, back to Godhead. This is something which is exactly here. The pseudo devotee, see, Krishna personally had appeared, or you say Vishnu Narayan appeared. What did he tell him? Continue practicing the devotional principles rest of your lifetime. Similarly, Prabhupada is saying pseudo devotees are very keen to see the Lord, but they don't want to follow the principles of bhakti life all their life, like that. And the same thing has been recommended by Maharaj Parikshit. Shanvata Shraddhya Nityam, Shraddha ke saath Nitya Hamesha, Swacheshtita with seriousness. For how long? Forever. In other words, Nitya, long, long time. For all your life you hear. Then we become qualified for the darshan of the Lord. I'm amazed so many people get vision of the Lord. अपने को तो आता ही नहीं. You know, so many people say, you meet on the street while doing book distribution, oh, I saw Lord. Maybe they're watching too much movies or something, you know. They might have seen some movie about Krishna or something. I don't know what happens. But it doesn't seem like that. And these are people who are least interested in hearing, but they're most interested in seeing. You know, sentimentalism like that. Text number 5. Text number 5 and 6. Wow, what a verse. Amazing verses. So beautiful creation by our Parishad Maharaj. And what he says? Pravishta karnarandrena swanam bhavo saroruham. Pravishta karnarandrena. Let this sound vibration or sound incarnation of the Lord, Pravishta karnarandrena, let it enter through my ear holes. Swanam bhava saroruham. What will happen? Dhunoti shamalam Krishna. And Lord Shri Krishna automatically by himself would cleanse my heart. Salilasya yatha sharat. Just like when there is a rainy season, not rainy season, what is mentioned? Let's say there is a mild shower, because of which then you have muddy water. But when there is a heavy rain, all the water becomes pure. So similarly, it is said, just like when we chant the name of the Lord, when we hear about the Lord acts, the sound incarnation acts, and it purifies our heart. However, the second line is very important, which I didn't give you meaning. Swanam bhava saroruham. Swanam bhava saroruham. Bhava means relationship with the Lord. Swanam, according to one's liberated position. I'll tell you, let's take a look at the translation. The sound incarnation Lord Krishna enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower, saroruham, of his loving relationship, swanam, his relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material associations such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water. What it means, swanam, refers to according to one's liberated position. We are also liberated because we are hearing Krishna Katha, we are chanting the names of the Lord, but we all, according to our own position. In other words, ye yathamam prapadante tam sateva bhajamyam. As we surrender to the Lord, accordingly, Lord acts. That's the point here. Swana, according to our position. A very, very beautiful purport. Prabhupada says, it is said that a single pure devotee of the Lord can deliver all the fallen souls of the world. Thus, one who is actually in the confidence of a pure devotee like Narada Sukadeva Goswami, and thus is empowered by one spiritual master as Narada by Brahma, can not only deliver himself from the clutches of Maya, but can deliver the whole world by his pure and empowered devotional strength. The last line of that paragraph. A powerful pure devotee of the Lord, however, can deliver not only his personal self, but also many others in his association. Prabhupada continues. Somebody would like to read the second paragraph? Those are online.
In other
Yes.
words, the cleansing of the polluted heart by other methods like the culture of empiric knowledge or mystic gymnastics can simply cleanse one's own heart. But devotional service to the Lord is so powerful that it can cleanse the hearts of the people. In general, by the devotional service of the pure, empowered devotee, a true representative of the Lord like Narada, Sukadeva Goswami, Lord Chaitanya, the 6 Goswamis, and later Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, etc., can deliver all people by their empowered devotional service.
So similarly, first Canto has the many verses are there like Tada Rajas Samobhava Kama Lobha Deshe Chaita Ete Navidam Sitam Satvi Prasidati. You know, when the Lord becomes situated in the heart of a devotee, by our devotional service, the influences, the effects of Raja, Tada Rajas Tamo Bhava, mode of passion, ignorance, they disappear. Purification of the heart. Please read the last paragraph of the purport. Purification of heart by culture of knowledge.
Culture of knowledge or mystic yoga may be all right for the time being for an individual person, but it is like the cleansing of small quantity of stagnant water by chemical processes. Such clarification of water may stand for the time being and the sediments settle down, but by the slight agitation, everything becomes muddy. The idea is that devotional service to the Lord is the only method of cleansing the heart of the earth for good, whereas other methods may be superficially good for the time being. There is a risk of becoming muddy again due to agitation of the mind. Devotional service to the Lord with specific attention for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and always is the best recommended method for liberation from the clutches of illusion.
Hare Krishna. Text number 6. What happens whose heart has been cleansed? Dautatma Purushaha Krishna Padamulam Namanchati Muktasava Parikleshaha Pantha Swasharanam Yatha. Pantha Swasharanam Yatha. Pantha means a traveler. Swasharanam, in his own abode. Very beautiful analogy. Just like a traveler who has been exhausted by day's travel comes back comes back at his own home and thus feel fully satisfied. Similarly, Dautatma Purushaha Krishna Padamulam Namunchati, one whose heart has been cleansed by an endeavor. Krishna Padamulam Namunchati, such a person never leaves the lotus feet of the Lord. Finally, who has attained the lotus feet of the Lord does not leaves it. Mukta sarva parikleshaha, being freed from all kind of kleshas. Once he attains the lotus feet of the Lord, he does not leave it. Just like a traveler being exhausted from his travel comes back to his own home, being fully satisfied. So it's like for us, going back to the, in the same context. Very beautiful analogy is given. So the Prabhupada says, a devotee of the Lord can never give a service of the Lord. So what we are doing, chanting Hare Krishna. What we are doing, serving the Lord. When we become liberated, what we do? Chanting the names of the Lord. What we do? Service to the Lord. Never gives up. What is the process is also the means and also the goal. That's the point here. So Prabhupada talks about this in the purport. Let's take a look. Prabhupada says, third line, in discharging devotional service as ordered by Brahmaji to Narada in preaching Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes the representative of the Lord engaged in preaching work meets various so-called difficulties. This was existed by Nityananda, example of Jagai Madai. Similarly, Jesus was crucified by the non-believers. But such difficulties are very gladly suffered by the devotees in preaching, because in such activities, although apparently very severe, the devotees of the Lord feel transcendental pleasure because the Lord is satisfied. I'll just give you a simple example, which is all of us would have an experience of it probably. Most of us ISKCON devotees would have an experience of it. It's just like, this is marathon month, book distribution. I mean, isn't that an amazing thing? You go out for hours together during the sunny day or maybe in the evening hours, door to door, street to street, so much pollution. Many times people may not speak nicely to you. But the moment the book goes out of your hand, how many feel super excited? And you immediately forget all the tiredness that you underwent just to give that one book to one living entity. And what you remember at the end of the day is that one person took the book, not that 100 did not took the book from you. How many of you agree with this? Raise your hand. That's the point here. Although apparently very severe, do you think book distribution is easy? And those of you who are doing regularly think, oh, that's okay. But no, it's not easy. So much physical endeavor is there. The devotees of the Lord feel transcendental pleasure because the Lord is satisfied. That's just an evidence, because the Lord is satisfied. That's the reason we are happy. And how many of you agree that joy remains with us for a longer period of time than our act of sense gratification? Let's say you wanted to watch a movie, which you had been hankering. You go and watch a movie, and maybe a good movie. After a while, the joy that you got from sense gratification of watching a movie and the joy of giving a book to a devotee or to somebody, which do you think is far greater and long-standing? The one when you have service, when you render service to the Lord. That's the point. Then Prabhupada speaks about Prahlad Maharaj had to face so much challenges. And in that same purport, later on, Prabhu says, pure devotees like Narada and Nityananda take up the order of the spiritual master as the sustenance of life. Who is writing? Srila Prabhupada. If we have to say, they will say, pure devotees like Narada, Nityananda and Srila Prabhupada take up the order of the spiritual master as the sustenance of life. They do not mind what becomes the future of their lives. They take the matter very seriously as the order comes from the higher authorities, from the representatives of the Lord or from the Lord himself. The example set herein is very appropriate. Ravi Bodkar Prabhu, please read. Yes. Oi hoy, aapki to awaaz hi nahi aa rahi. It's good. Those who want to read, they should have a mic, so everyone can hear. Go ahead.
The example set herein is very appropriate.
Prabhu, very feeble. Those who are on YouTube will not be able to hear later on. Mother Varsha, go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji. The example set herein is very appropriate. A traveler leaves home to search for wealth in far distant places, sometimes in the forest, and sometimes on the ocean, and sometimes on hilltops. Certainly, there are many troubles for the traveler when he is in such unknown places. But all such troubles are at once mitigated as soon as the sense of his family affection is remembered, and as soon as he returns home, he forgets all such troubles on the way. A pure devotee of the Lord is exactly in a family tie with the Lord, and therefore he is undeterred in discharging his duty in a full affectionate tie with the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Now, 7th verse onwards are questions which are asked by Parishit Maharaj. So I'm not going to read the Sanskrit, we'll just read the translation, and for which there are very important purpose, we'll reflect on the purport. Mother Varsha, you can start with. You can read the first 5 inquiries, and then we'll go to another devotee. Please read translation.
O learned Brahmana, the transcendental spirit soul is different from the material body. Does he acquire the body accidentally or by some cause? Will you kindly explain this, for it is known to you?
So,
Purport.
Prabhupada, no, we don't have to read the whole purport. I'll give you some synopsis and then we'll do certain part. So here the queries ask about living entity. He's different from the material body. So is the body given to him accidentally or there is some higher power? Karmana Deva Netrana. So he's asking about how do we acquire a body? That's the point specifically. Please explain that. So Prabhupada in the purport focuses largely on the importance of inquiry. In the middle of the purport, Mother, you'll find a person on the path of devotional service.
Yes.
Please read
A
from there.
person on the path of devotional service may inquire from the spiritual master all about the spiritual position of God and living beings. From Bhagavad Gita as well as from Srimad Bhagavatam, it is known that qualitatively the Lord and the living beings are one. The living being in the conditioned state of material existence is subjected to many transmigrations by continuous changing of the material body. But what are the causes of the material embodiment of the part and parcel of what are the causes and material embodiment of the part and parcel of the Lord? Yes, Maharaj Parikshit inquire about this very important matter for the benefit of the class of candidate on the path of self-realization and devotional service to the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Next paragraph, Mother. In the process of
In
devotional
the process of devotional service, the first step is to take shelter of the spiritual master and then inquire from the spiritual master all about the process.
So this is Tadvidi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya. All right. Now, importance in inquiry is highlighted. Please mark that point for yourself. Please read it, Mother.
This inquiry is essential for immunity to all kinds of offenses on the path of devotional service. Even if one is fixed in devotional service like Maharaj Parikshit, he must still inquire from the realized spiritual master all about this.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You see this repetitive in the life of Yudhishthira Maharaj. When I was reading Mahabharata, I was so astonished. I said, isko to jawab pata hai? क्यों पूछता है? He knows the answer of it. He is Dharamraj. He is the one who delivered Bhimsen from the clutches of that Ajgar, who was Nahusa in his past life, who had become an Ajgar. And he was cursed and blessed simultaneously that your future descendant will come, and if he is able to answer your questions, then you'll be liberated from this curse. And he asked more than 100 questions. And he had to wait for hundreds and thousands of years to find one able person to answer all his 100 questions. Yudhishthira Maharaj delivered Bhimsen, and then Yaksha personally came to test Yudhishthira Maharaj, and all the four brothers died. And then again, all the four brothers were brought back to life by Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yudhishthira Maharaj was so intelligent, who can answer the question of everyone, yet you see him all through Mahabharata, always asking questions. Always asking questions. Very, very important point. Even if I know a subject matter, but when we meet more senior devotees, then we may ask the question just to hear their realization. And that's what adds the beauty. To think that, okay, I know Krishna is Supreme Godhead, that's okay. Now you hear about the realization of that advanced devotee, how he experiences and what is his understanding. That is what called as Machita Madgata Prana Bodhiyantaha Parasparam. That's the point here. Please go ahead, Mother.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji. Next shloka.
No. You didn't finish the purport. In other words,
Yeah. In other words, the spiritual master must also be well versed and learned so that he may be able to answer all the inquiries from the devotees. Thus, one who is not well versed in authorized scriptures and not able to answer all such relevant inquiries should not pose as a spiritual master for the matter of material gain. It is illegal to become a spiritual master if one is unable to deliver the disciple.
During the COVID days, I was watching a video of a very famous film director asking a very famous modern day guru. I don't want to name either of the party. And because the guru was there, therefore I thought, let me hear what's the conversation. And here I was amazed at the brilliant question asked by this director. And this person, she said, I have heard from my family member that, after death, there is another life. What exactly is death? And is there reincarnation? What happens after life? And I was like, fantastic. This episode will be watched by hundreds and thousands, millions of people because of her followership and because of this great sadhu who is there. And then came the biggest surprise of my life. I felt like banging my head against the wall. He said, some questions should always remain unanswered. Some questions should always remain unanswered. And when questions are unanswered, that gives us motivation to keep going in our life. To stay motivated, some questions should never be answered. मैंने कहा क्या बोला रे तू? क्या बोला? इधर आ तू? क्या बोला तू? I said our 3 months old trained fellow would have given her 1 hour lecture. What happens? What is death? What happens after death? And more astonishing was her response of this director. She said, what a profound answer. She said, what a profound, Swamiji, you have opened my darkened eyes. I never thought question could be answered this way. My goodness, this is the height of ignorance going on here. That's the point. Should not pose as a spiritual master for the matter of material gain. It is illegal to become a spiritual master when one is able to deliver the disciple. Okay, text number 8. Mother, please read the translation.
Yes, Prabhu. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead from whose abdomen the lotus stem sprouted is possessed of a gigantic body according to his own caliber and measurement, then what is the specific difference between the body of the Lord and those of the common living entities?
Jiva versus Lord. That's the question. Next question.
Text 9. Brahma, who was not born of a material source, but of a lotus flower coming out of the navel abdomen of the Lord, is the creator of all those who are materially born. Of course, by the grace of Lord, Brahma was able to see the form of the Lord.
So this is not a direct question, but indirectly Prashid Maharaj is saying, why I'm asking this question? Because Brahma, for example, Brahma is the first created being. He is not created like all of us. So, for example, Brahma, is his body same like Lord because he's produced from the body of the Lord? So that is the question he's asking. Is Brahma and the Lord have the same body? Next question, text 10.
Please also explain the personality of Godhead who lies in every heart as a super soul and as the Lord of all energies, but is untouched by his eternal energy.
So, yeah, please explain us everything about Paramatma, the super soul, or maybe Supreme Personality God. All right. Do we have somebody else would like to read? I request if you wish to read, please do have a microphone because that makes it audible. Yes, Ravi Prabhu, I see you ready with your office headphone. Go ahead. Read the next
Text
five
11.
verses.
Text 11. O learned Brahman, it was formally explained that all the planets of the universe with their respective governors are situated in the different parts of the gigantic body of the Virat Purusha. I have also heard that the different planetary systems are supposed to be in the gigantic body of the Virat Purush, but what is their actual position? Will you please explain that?
Now begins discussion. Ravi Prabhu, you want to mute yourself. There's an echo. So now here is a question about this planetary system. I have heard this whole planetary system was situated in different limbs or different parts of Virat Purush. What is the actual situation and position, and which would be answered elaborately in the 5th canto. Text number 12, Ravi Prabhu.
Also, please explain the duration of time between creation and annihilation and that of other subsidiary creations, as well as the nature of time indicated by the sound of past, present, and future. Also, please explain the duration and measurement of life of the different living beings known as the demigods, the human beings, etc., in different planets of the universe.
What a fantastic question has been asked. He's asking about everything of this universe. What is the different time scales, or what is the different time scale on different planets? When did the creation happen, and what is the time span of this creation? For how long this creation remains? When is this world annihilated? Please tell us about different demigods, human beings, or different parts of the universe. I mean, they just have to read 5th canto to get all the answers. And our fellow scientists, who in proper language are the fools and rascals, they're fooling people around by wasting the taxpayers' money by just flying in the sky and saying that we saw the moon, we saw the Mars. Go up there, they take a photo and come back and they say, which is Photoshop version, a poor quality Photoshop version. And then they say, we went there, went there. They're wasting money. All right. Question number 13, or text number 13.
O purest of the Brahmanas, please also explain the cause of the different durations of time, both short and long, as well as the beginning of time following the course of action.
What is the cause of time? A very profound question. This is all is discussed in the 3rd canto about the time factor. Next, text number 14.
Then again, kindly describe how the proportionate accumulation of the reactions resulting from the different modes of material nature act upon the desiring living being, promoting or degrading him among the different species of life, beginning from the demigods down to the most insignificant creatures.
Yeah, so why living entity gets different kind of bodies? Some are born in America, some are born in India, some are born in Ghana, or let's say Venezuela, or some born in China, Russia. There's a different gauge of planetary system within planet Earth, higher, middle, lower, if you consider that way. So why? And some are born in this species, that species. How does it all happen? So it's a question about what are the laws of matter nature, which is karma. Okay, next, text 15.
O best of the Brahmanas, please also describe how the creation of the globes throughout the universe, the 4 directions of the heavens, the sky, the planets, the stars, the mountains, the rivers, the seas, and the islands, as well as their different kinds of inhabitants takes place.
So, I mean, if in case you want to know what is the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam, these are the questions will tell you what is subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. We go for Singapore holiday. We go for Kuala Lumpur holiday. Srimad Bhagavatam takes you on a universal tour. People are excited for world tour. Here you have universe, tour of universe. You read 5th canto. It's amazing when you hear about the ocean of sugarcane juice. What to speak about ocean of liquor. Many will be very excited to know that. If they get to know, probably there would be many adventure parties who will go out to find out where is that. unlimited supply of it. I mean, particularly fifth canto, when the description comes about the heavens and all those different places, is very, very enticing. And whenever we discuss, we warn them, huh? Baba, don't stop here. Huh? After that, Goloka Vrindavan comes in the 10th canto. Make sure you reach up to 10th canto. Otherwise, you will settle at the 5th canto only. Okay, text number 16.
Also, please describe the inner and outer space of the universe by specific divisions, as well as the character and activities of the great souls, and also the characteristics of the different classifications of the castes and orders of life, of social life.
So what is this universe made of? Different layers, inner and outer space of the universe, character and activities of great soul who live on different planets, Mahalok, Janalok, Tapalok, Satyalok, like that, and also what Varna and Ashram, like this. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, beautiful purport, Maharaj Pakshi is a typical devotee of Krishna, and as such he is anxious to know the complete significance of the creation of the Lord. A typical devotee of the Lord means is always curious to know more and more and more. That's the meaning of it here. He's never satisfied. And the same purport writes, those who are of the opinion that the devotees of the Lord are satisfied with the mere sentiments can find in the queries of Maharaj Parashit good lessons as to how inquisitive a pure devotee is to know things in their true perfection, which means the devotee of the Lord can never be satisfied. Whatever is he learns, there is still more to learn because Lord is unlimited. Maharaj Parishad, next paragraph, is not satisfied with only material knowledge, is inquisitive about the character and activities of the great souls, the devotees of the Lord. And the next paragraph, the very idea of the scientific divisions of 4 classes of human beings and 4 orders is also inquired about herewith on the basis of individual personal quality. This will be mentioned at large in 7th canto. The 4 divisions, okay, fine, all that is described here. Text number 17.
Please explain all the different ages in the duration of the creation and also the duration of such ages. Also tell me about the different activities of the different incarnations of the Lord in different ages.
Which should be discussed largely 8th and 9th about different incarnations. All right, let's have Mother Gokila for reading now. Mother Gokila, unmute, and I hope your sound will be loud and clear. Yes. Yes, Mother. Good.
Please also explain what may generally be the common religious affiliations of human society, as well as their specific occupational duties in religion, the classification of the social orders, as well as the administrative royal orders, and the religious principle for one who may be in distress.
This is about Varnashrama Dharma, social and spiritual order, which is largely discussed in 7th canto after the story of Prahlad Narasimha. Next, number 19, question number 12.
Kindly explain all about the elementary principles of creation, the number of such elementary principles, their causes and their development, and also the process of devotional service and the method of mystic powers.
This is the question for 3rd canto, which is answered largely in the 3rd canto. Question number 13, text 20. Go ahead.
What are the opulences of great mystics and what is their ultimate realization? How does the perfect mystic become detached from the subtle astral body? What is the basic knowledge of Vedic literatures, including the branches of history and the supplementary Puranas?
All right, question number 14.
Please explain unto me how the living beings are generated, how they are maintained, and how they are annihilated.
Which means after Brahma came into existence, what happened? How did those 8.4 million species came into existence? How they take birth? How did they die? What is the whole thing about them? How they maintain? Who maintains them? For their maintenance. Go ahead.
Tell me also the advantages and disadvantages of discharging devotional service unto the Lord. What are the Vedic rituals and injunctions of the supplementary Vedic rites? And what are the procedures of religion, economic development, and sense satisfaction?
Hare Krishna. Very beautiful purport. It will take time for us to discuss, so you please mark it for your reading. Very, very nice. Where Prabhupada talks about the subject matter here only, in brief. Second. Okay, fine. Text number 22.
Please also explain how, merged in this body of the Lord, living beings are created, and how the infidels appear in the world. Also, please explain how the unconditioned living entities exist.
How the infidels appear in the world means how does the fall down of a living entity happens. Please explain how the unconditioned living entities exist, which means about the spiritual residents. residents of the spiritual world. Please tell me about them also. Text number 23.
The independent personality of Godhead enjoys his pastimes by his internal potency, and the time of annihilation gives at the time of annihilation gives them up to the external potency, and he remains a witness to it all.
Next.
24. O great sage, representative of the Lord, kindly satisfy my inquisitiveness in all that I have inquired from you, and all that I may not have inquired from you from the very beginning of my questionings. Since I am a soul surrendered unto you, please impart full knowledge in this connection.
What a profound inquiry. Whatever I've inquired and whatever I have not inquired, please tell me about everything. I mean, this is wonderful, huh? Eager listener. And Prabhupada, this very beautiful purport about the quality of a disciple. Prabhupada says, spiritual master is always eager to impart knowledge, but the disciple has to be inquisitive. Inquisitiveness on the part of a disciple is greatly necessary for the progressive disciple, and inquiry and inquisitiveness is important for progress. Maharaj Parikshit is a typical disciple because he is perfectly inquisitive. Last few lines, fact, it is not possible for a man to inquire everything from the spiritual master, but the bona fide spiritual master is able to enlighten the disciple in every way for the disciple's benefit. Now the question comes, why Parikshit Maharaj chose Sukdev Goswami of so many other sages who were sitting there? Text number 25. We are in the last 4 verses of this chapter. Atra pramanam hi bhavan parameshti yatatma bhu apare chanutishtanti purvesham purvaja kritam. So Parikshit says, O great sage, you are as good as Brahma, the original being. Others follow custom only, as followed by the previous philosophical speculator. So why Sukdev Goswami is bona fide? He heard it from Vyasadev. Vyasadev heard from Narad Muni. Narad Muni heard from Brahma. Brahma heard from the Lord. That we'll see in the next chapter. That's about it. So Lord instructed Brahma, which will be the discussion next chapter, and then told Brahma, now you instruct others. Brahma instructed Narad Muni. And after instructing to Brahma and Narad Muni, Brahma said, now you further expand on these teachings. And then Narada instructed Vyasadev, and then he wrote, you write Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Vyasadev narrated to or instructed to Sukdev Goswami and instructed him. And like that, Guru Parampara continues. That is a point here. And what is the secret of receiving transcendental knowledge? Is to connect oneself with the bona fide Parampara. That's the whole subject matter of this purport. So we'll go to the next chapter, next verse. Name swaparayanti brahman anashanadapi pibato vachuta piyusham tadvakya abdhi vinishritam. O learned Brahmana, because of my drinking the nectar of the message of the infallible personality of Godhead, which is flowing down from the ocean of your speeches, I do not feel any sort of exhaustion due to my fasting. Or the speaker can say, "Bhai, तेरे को भूख नहीं लगी, मेरे को तो लगी है." You are saying you are not exhausted. What about because of you? I am also sitting. No toilet break also. Constantly you are asking inquiry, you have to answer. So that's the nature of Krishna Katha. Both speaker and listener are fully absorbed. That's the point here. Prabhupada, first paragraph. Okay, let's read the first paragraph. Somebody would like to read? Who has not read so far? Puppets. Okay,
I'll
Mother
read.
Sita. Yes, please go ahead.
The disciplic succession from Brahma, Narada, Vyasa, and Shukdev Goswami is particularly different from others. The disciplic successions from other sages are simply a waste of time, being devoid of Achyuta Katha or the message of the infallible Lord. The mental speculators can present their theories very nicely by reason and arguments, but such reasons and arguments are not infallible, for they are defeated by better mental speculators. Maharaj Parikshit was not interested in the dry speculation of the flickering mind, but he was interested in the topics of the Lord because factually he felt that by hearing such a nectarian message from the mouth of Sukdev Goswami, he was not feeling any exhaustion, even though he was fasting because of his imminent death.
Read the last paragraph.
In some editions of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the text of the last line of this verse reads, Anyatra Kupita Dvijat, which means that the king might be overwhelmed by the thought of his imminent death by snake bite. The snake is also twice born, and its anger is compared to the cursing Brahmana boy who was without good intelligence. Maharaj Parikshit was not at all afraid of death, for he was fully encouraged by the message of the Lord. One who is fully absorbed in Achyuta Katha can never be afraid of anything in this world.
Sutavacha. Sa upamantrito ragnya katayamiti satpate brahma ratu vrasham prito Vishnu rate na samshadi. Sutta Goswami said, thus Sukdev Goswami, being invited by Parishit Maharaj to speak on the topics of Lord Shri Krishna with the devotees, was very much pleased. And then text 28. Praha Bhagavatam Nama Purana Brahma Sammitam Ramane Bhagavat Proktam Brahma Kalpa Upagati. So then Sukdev Goswami began to speak to answer the questions. And what he did? He began to reply to the inquiries of Parishit Maharaj by saying that the science of personality of Godhead was first spoken by the Lord himself to Brahma when he was first born. Srimad Bhagavatam is a supplementary Vedic literature and it is just in pursuance of the Vedas. Purport. Mother, you want to read the purport? Mother Sita Chakrani?
Yes, Prabhuji. Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of the personality of Godhead. The impersonalist always tries to misrepresent the personal feature of the Lord, not knowing the science of this great knowledge, and Srimad Bhagavatam is in pursuance of the Vedas and scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. To learn this science, one should take shelter of the representative of Sri Shukdev Goswami and follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Parikshit without foolishly attempting to interpret, thereby committing a great offense at the feet of the Lord. The dangerous ways of interpretations by the non-devotee class of men have played havoc in understanding the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the careful student should be always alert in this matter if he at all wants to learn the science of Godhead.
Hare Krishna. And we come to the conclusion of this chapter, text number 29, where Sutta Goswami is explaining that how Sukdev Goswami, while he was being placed with all these questions, he began to answer this question by quoting the very first conversation that happened between the Lord and Brahma, where Lord instructed Brahma in the science of, in the Vedic science, like that. Text number 29, Yad Yat Parashit Rishabha Panunam Anuprachati Anupurvayena Tatsavam Akyatum Upachakrame. He also prepared himself to reply to all that King Parikshit had inquired from him. Maharaj Parikshit was the best in the dynasty of the Pandus, and thus he was able to ask the right questions of the right person. So inquiries are appropriate, but therefore inquiries also have to be right inquiry. You'll find the similar subject matter in the second canto, first chapter, verse number 2 and 3. Who talks about there about the importance of inquiry. He says the whole world is made up of inquiry only. Just like people are watching news or reading newspaper, that's also based on inquiry. There is an eagerness to know. So the whole world is made up of question and answer. Unfortunately, those who are too much mentally contaminated, their question and answers are only limited to how can I have more money? How can I enjoy more senses? How can I be happy? How can I be healthy? That's what is limited to. But those who are spiritual seekers, their question is about how to go out of this world. That is said to be right inquiry. And in relation to that, whatever is asked, a bona fide spiritual master is willing to answer every question. And that's something which we have to understand. Not that anything and everything has to be asked. Maharaj Parikshit asked many questions. Okay, Mother, please read out the purport also.
Maharaj Parikshit asked many questions, some of them very curiously, to know things as they are, but it is not necessary for the master to answer them in the order of the disciples' inquiries, one after the other. But Shukdev Goswami, experienced teacher that he was, answered all the questions in a systematic way as they were received from the chain of disciplic succession. And he answered all of them without exception.
So one evidence that people in those ages were so smart and so intelligent is this. The Sukdev Goswami, after hearing so many questions, asked, hey, what was the first question? I forgot. Sometimes when people ask question, after they put 2-3 questions, we're like, Arey, pehla question kya tha? Pehle bolo. Because it's not a problem with an individual, it's a Kali Yuga effect. Just something which proves that people in those days were very smart. Anyways, this comes to the conclusion of the chapter where 2 things are highlighted largely. The first thing with Parikshit Maharaj is very much inspired to continue hearing Krishna Katha because he wants to give up his life while hearing Krishna Katha. And thus, there is a beautiful verses he speaks, glorifying the importance of hearing Krishna Katha and how to hear Krishna Katha, particularly 4th, 5th, and 6th verse of this chapter. And then comes his inquiries around 2023 question, which he asked, which is subject matter rest of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is something which we should bring into the knowledge of public at large. This is what have been answered. This is what is the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. And people, if they find any interest, they would be inspired to read Srimad Bhagavatam that way. In case if you're ever doing book distribution and you want to tell what is Srimad Bhagavatam about, you can note this 23 question. These are the different subject matter being addressed in Srimad Bhagavatam, like that. And then finally, Parishit Maharaj's request, my dear Lord, my dear Sukadeva Goswami, please answer all the questions that I've asked and what I have not asked. You know the subject matter, you know everything. Please consider or forgive my ignorance. So you kindly tell me everything about Lord Shri Krishna. And then Sukadeva Goswami began to answer by first quoting the conversation between the Lord himself and Brahma. And that is how our 9th chapter will begin. And with that, we come to a conclusion of discussion today. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki. So chapter 9 is a little long, which has 46 verses, but nonetheless we'll complete it. There are some important verses. We'll see. We'll try to make it in one session, because this is just the beginning. 3rd canto, so it would never end if we go at this pace. It's too huge. So we'll see that next week. So next week, Friday morning, we'll meet. And after that, we are traveling for our annual pilgrimage to Nathdwara, Udaipur, and Jaipur. So from next week onward, we won't be available. We'll catch up again in the first week of January, like that. Any questions, any comments?
Prabhuji, I want to
Yes.
know the Veda base for chapter 8 has it been put in the group, because I'm not having the Canto, so I'm not able to read the perfect.
So because we had a session today, from today onwards, you'll get the reading assignments. Earlier, because we had 3 sessions for 7th chapter, the reading assignment got over in the very first week for 7th chapter. All right, you get it today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Who is speaking?
I'm Asoka Devi Dasi from New Zealand. I just want
Yes,
to
madam.
know, because आप ये सारा इंग्लिश का करा रहे हो, हिंदी वालों को तो पूछते नहीं रहे हो. हिंदी वालों
हिंदी
का तो
वाल-
आपने खाली फर्स्ट पार्ट किया,
7th chapter का.
7th चैप्टर का, और सेकंड
Yeah.
थर्ड नहीं किया. मैंने मैसेज भी छोड़ा, बट फिर अब
So,
हम
mother,
कैसे
क्या
करें?
हुआ था उस discussion में I had taken a vote. I had asked because life have moved on, things have changed, things have opened up, devotees have become busy. So attendance for our Hindi session was falling down. There are only
If you
15,
check
20
mine one,
devotees.
I think I just read every day भागवत, कोई भी लेसन पढ़ती हूँ, कुछ भी पढ़ती हूँ, बट छोड़ती नहीं. बट वही है कि अब कंटिन्यू नहीं है, तो ऐसे मन में लगता है कि क्यों छोड़ दिया ना. लेकिन साथ साथ को पढ़ते जाती हूँ. तो अगर आप लेते हो तो अच्छा लगता है कि हाँ, कि पिछले वाले असाइनमेंट भी कंप्लीट करनी है, क्विज भी करनी है ना. तो इंटरेस्ट थोड़ा सा कंटिन्यूअसली बना रहता है.
करेक्ट. मतलब मैं ट्राई करता हूँ, काफी भक्तों ने बोला, मैं ट्राई करता हूँ.
जैसे अभी आज आपने फ्राइडे को दिया, तो आप ऐसे थर्सडे को दे दो हिंदी का, या किसी भी दिन मॉर्निंग में दे दो.
ठीक है.
ताकि हम
तो मैं क्या करता हूँ, मैं जो हमारा हिंदी ग्रुप है ना, उसमें हम पोल क्रिएट करते हैं. मैं अपना भी स्केड्यूल चेक करता हूँ मेरे टाइमिंग्स का, बिकॉज मेरे इवनिंग्स बिकेम वेरी बिजी. इवनिंग मेरे बहुत टाइट हो गए थे. और मैंने देखा और मैंने आखिरी सत्र में लोगों से पूछा था, आप में से कितने लोग इंग्लिश में सुन सकते हैं. 80% रेज दे हैं. मैं ठीक है, फिर आप आ जाओ, ये करके हिंदी का करते हैं. विल डू दैट मतलब. सो मैं आपको पहले ग्रुप के अंदर मैसेज डालते हैं, आज ही डालता हूँ, बिकॉज ये कल से मेरा चौथी बार
हिंदी वाले में डालना. मैंने आज इसलिए ज्वाइन करा क्योंकि हमारा टाइम टैली नहीं करता. अभी मेरी हमारे यहाँ पे शाम है, आपकी मॉर्निंग है ना.
करेक्ट.
तो जब आप हिंदी का करते हो तो हिंदी वाले में मैं कोई भी नहीं सुनती, खाली यूट्यूब पे ही देखती हूँ, क्योंकि आपका रात को होता है, 2-3 बजे होता है.
ठीक है, तो हम हिंदी वाले में डालते हैं. हिंदी वाले में फिर मैं अपना टाइम भी देख लेता हूँ एक बार दोबारा, क्या टाइम रहेगा. हिंदी में आप लोग रिस्पॉन्ड करिएगा ताकि मुझे पता चले क्या, क्योंकि ऑनलाइन है ये, कौन कौन है, क्या है, कुछ हो रहा है, नहीं हो रहा है. आर द सेम स्टूडेंट्स और न्यू स्टूडेंट्स. अभी जैसे 2nd कैंटो तक मुझे, अगर 3rd कैंटो तो नए लोग के पढ़ने के लिए नहीं है. 3rd कैंटो का विषय उन्हीं के लिए है जो 1st 2 कैंटो सुन सके हैं. एंड आई एम
मेरी अभी तक सारी असाइनमेंट्स कंप्लीट हैं.
करेक्ट मदर. सो
तो
अप्रिशिएट
इसलिए
योर सिंसियर एफर्ट, एंड मैं अपनी तरफ से पूरा प्रयत्न करूंगा
Thank you,
टू
Prabhu.
सपोर्ट ऑल ऑफ
Thank
यू,
you.
दोज हु वांट टू. कैन आई नो दोज हु आर हियर, मदर के अलावा और कोई भी है जो हिंदी बैच का बाय चांस? ओके, ऑल आर इंग्लिश बैच, सो हिंदी बैच इज ऑल ड्रॉप्ड दैट वे. ठीक है, हिंदी का हम देखते हैं मदर. ठीक है,
Thank you so much,
ट्रैक
Prabhu.
करते हैं.
Thank you.
थैंक
Hare
यू.
Krishna.
हरे
Prabhu, Prabhu,
कृष्णा.
Prabhu.
धन्यवाद. ऑल राइट, हरे कृष्णा. मुझे पोल लेना चाहिए था क्लास बंद करने से पहले, कुछ मैं गुस्सा हो गए. मैंने उसके बाद करा ही नहीं. विल ट्राई टू डू समथिंग. ऑल राइट. हरे कृष्णा. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. थैंक यू एवरीवन.
Krishna Prabhu.